So we see then in the Quran, when we look in the Quran, we see there are many verses which speak about Allah's rububiyyah, that He is the creator, the owner, the provider, gives life, takes life. All of these verses are a proof for Allah's rububiyyah, no doubt. And likewise, we see many verses that speak of Allah's names. They mention His names and they mention His attributes. There are many in the Quran. So those verses relate to Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. And there are many other verses which invite the creation to call upon Allah alone and to worship Him alone. And all of this no doubt relates to Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. So we see that really there isn't really any dispute about Tawheed having three aspects. We see it clearly and plainly in the Quran. And we see that the first time that the scholars spoke of this classification was in a book called Al-Ibana by a scholar called Ibn Battah al-Uqbari. Ibn Battah al-Uqbari, and he lived in the 4th century. He died roughly in the year, I believe, 387 Hijrah, around that time. But he has a book called Al-Ibana. It's quite a large number of volumes. And in this book, he actually explains Tawheed in exactly the same way that we've mentioned here. That from Tawheed is that which relates to Rububiyyah, from it is that which relates to Allah being worshipped alone, and from it is that which relates to Allah's names and attributes. This refutes the false claim that this understanding of Tawheed is an innovation. It was innovated by the likes of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah or Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul-Wahhab. All of this is clearly false. This is wrong.